Hello, welcome to my presentation. My name is Absalon Fonseca, and I will be talking about an AI-powered, hyper-personalized marketing for yacht charters. So let's get into it. Why yacht charters? Even though it's not my domain, there are two main reasons. One is I have real market access. I live in the south of France, and this area is known for being a hub for the yachting industry, especially super and mega yachts. But even more importantly, because I have first-hand insight into the industry via my wife, who's been working for the yachting industry for the past 20 years. What tools did I use? So I mainly concentrated in OpenAI tools, ChatGPT, Sora, for three main reasons. One is because those tools are widely used. So if a company wants to implement the results of this report, it will be easier for them to either already have the skills or to find the skills in the market. Familiarity, so I've been using ChatGPT for quite some time now. I'm a paid subscriber, so I have access to the latest version. So it will be easier for me to know my way around the tool. But also, and probably more importantly, is I do believe, and in my test, that ChatGPT had the best results. I tried several tools, DeepSeek, Mistral, Gemini, and the ChatGPT always had similar results or better results, depending on the test. Having said that, maybe I should also clarify that because I'm a paid subscriber, as I mentioned before, there might be some bias or some unfair advantage, but then I cannot pay for all the tools, so that's the situation I am. So I use ChatGPT and Sora. So what did I do? I created three personas, specifically looking at the yacht chartering industry. I identified several personas, but I limited to three. And I limited to these three because I believe they give the most variety and diversity in the use cases. So those personas are first-time charter, a family with teens, and then a corporate retreat. And I also chose three channels, again, trying to find a diverse group of channels. So I chose the Google RSI, which is basically the Google ads when you're using Google, LinkedIn post, and email. So here's an example of the original prompt that I use to start this process. I split it in two prompts, but it's basically one big prompt. You can see what's in highlighted here. You can see I have the first-time charter, family with teens, and corporate retreat, so the three personas. I gave instructions to have clear call to action, to be GDPR friendly, and no misleading claims, which I think is very important to avoid hallucinations or biases when using AI. And in the second part, you can see that I proposed I gave instructions to use value propositions. So for the first-time charter, I think transparent pricing, to mention that skip is included, that they can have a 48-hour hold on the yacht. Those are things that will talk to that kind of audience. For the family with teens, it's more about having Wi-Fi, having water toys, but also safety. And finally, for a corporate retreat, it's more about budget control, return on investment, and that kind of things. So I'll give you three examples that were generated by AI. So we have, for this is the first-time charter, the Google RSI. You can see we have three headlines. It took the value propositions I gave, sorry, two descriptions. Then we have family with teens. This is a LinkedIn post. You can see that it's split into a section for parents and then another one for the teenagers, which I think it was a nice touch. And you can see the call to action at the end. And then for a corporate retreat, this is an email example. So you have a subject, a pre-header. It added predictable per person budget, which I think it talks to the audience. That's a good phrase. Then you have a call to action and GDPR at the end. There were some improvements done through the text generation. So one of them I noticed was that The original prompt, IDA was not respecting the native channel limits. So for RSI, you have a limit on 30 characters for a headline and 90 characters for the description. So I asked AI to take that into account. In some cases, it was putting 2 call to actions, which would be confusing. So I asked him to only put 1. I asked it to have a next step. So this was more of an improvement where people could reply, for example, with dates, and then we will hold automatically 2 yachts for them for 48 hours. And something I noticed that in the original text, it used a phrase called that was teen approved. That sounded more like an endorsement, like it was approved by a process certification. So I asked it to change it to teen friendly, which I think was more accurate. Then we moved into image generation. So since you already have been pre-trained with the text generation, I asked AI, asked ChatGPT to create images for the LinkedIn and the emails, because RSIs don't work with images, and to give me at least 3 suggestions. I'll show you 3 examples of some improvements that were done. So you can see the image on the left is the person, the skipper or captain it's not wearing a uniform. So I asked him to add a uniform. Both images are quite good. It was just an improvement on the uniform part. On this one, in the before image, when it says parents relax, it's not really an image that shows relaxation. So I asked it to change, and that's what it put on the right-hand side, as you can see. One thing to note here is that continuity can be an issue. Sometimes you can see that the gentleman on the right, on the left, the father would say on the left, is not the same person as on the right image. There's a younger person on the right image, so that you have to keep an eye on. And for the corporate one, it was a 12-person retreat, but it showed me a table with 8 seats. So I asked him to increase the number of seats, and it did that, as you can see. Then we moved into the video generation. So similar setup in the sense that I've already been trained with the text generation and image generation. So the video generation was a continuation of that. I asked it to take Sora into account, because Sora was rather new to me, so I wanted to make sure that it will give me prompts that were adapted to that tool, which it did. In the highlight, in the partial response you see there, I wanted to highlight that it took into account, it mentions to add a hook, a shot list, on-screen text, a call to action, so you can see that it is taking all the details and setting it up properly. And then I wanted to show you first the bad results. So it was generating some images that were unrealistic, unnatural, difficult to read, as you can see there, especially when there was human movement. There was very uncanny, unnatural, weird movement, as you can see in this example. So that's something you need to keep in mind. And here you can see people jumping backwards or flying or doing movement that defy physics. Here are the 3 videos final results that you, of course, I will share with you the link on the report. You'll be able to see them on your own time. But here you can see an example of how it looks. And then we come to the ethical guidelines. So I think this is to me, the crucial part of the report is what you should do and shouldn't do to actually be able to use AI at your advantage. I created 4 documents. I'm going to concentrate here on the do and don't rules, but I just wanted to share that in the full report you have a pre-published checklist, you have workflow and RASI, and you have a record keeping details. So what are the do and don't rules? Claims and pricing. It's very important, and coming back to the original prompt, you should not have misleading claims, so it should be all verifiable. That's the first rule if you don't want to lose trust in your customer. So make sure that whatever you claim on the ad, it's actually based on reality, on truth. Social proof and reviews. So don't make up reviews. Don't cherry pick either. Try to be as trustworthy as possible. Safety and realism. This is particularly important, especially when on the family with teens. You don't want to show images or videos or claims that are not, they don't seem safe or are not based on reality. So something that comes to mind is when you see in the video jumping backwards or jumping off the boat. Those are things that you wouldn't want to show on a video if you want to go commercial. Imagery and video quality check. So this is a big one. You have to look at wardrobe, counts of chairs in my example, counts of people, the equipment, but you also want to look at hand and face motion and physics that they're quite disturbing in sometimes when you look at them. So that can be quite a negative point. Channel mechanics. So I did mention that it wasn't respecting the native limits of the different channels. In some cases, it was adding information that was redundant. So you have to keep an eye on that. Accessibility and readability. I think this is, it's not just AI, it's in general UI. You have to be careful to do it in a way that is accessible to everybody who might be able to look at it. Privacy, so GDPR, which I mentioned also in my original prompt. So private information, you have to make sure that it's protected. You don't want to have issues with GDPR. Brand and inclusivity. In one of the images, I were asked to have a group of people. I noticed that the group of people were not diverse enough, so I asked in a second prompt to make it more diverse. So those kind of things you have to be careful that they're not, AI is not being biased for a particular reason. Measurement and experimentation. So you have to be, ideally, this obviously wasn't part of my experience because I didn't go that far to publish the ads, but ideally you should be able to do A/B testing. You should be able to have KPIs, metrics that would allow you to test your ads in a real case scenario and get input on what works best. My conclusion is that this will be a great tool and a great option for a small company that has maybe a tight budget, that needs or doesn't have enough resources and needs to have a campaign launched. I would say the text version works very well. There's always some tweak to be done, but the AI and LLMs in general have demonstrated they're quite advanced at this. Image generation works well. Again, you have to make sure to keep an eye on continuity, small details, wardrobe. So far, the human presence works quite fine. The only one I would have my reservations on is on the video. I don't think it's commercially viable yet. It does have, it's quite impressive what it can do, nevertheless, and you can still use it maybe more for B-roll, so for not for the main campaign, but for extra shots, or combined with images and other kind of media. But whenever you have hand, faces, physics, it's still not there. Having said that, I use Sora version 1. There's Sora version 2 that came out. I don't have access to it yet. I don't think it's available in France yet. Maybe that one, from what I've seen on the internet, it seems to be quite advanced. Maybe that one will fix many of the issues. And anyway, it will be a matter of time before, a short time I would say, before it comes to a level where you can use it. But today, with the example I did, I wouldn't recommend using it for video generation. Thank you for your time, for listening to me, and I hope you liked my presentation. Goodbye.